Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. The bigger picture, only on Money FM 89.3.
Welcome to The Bigger Picture. The International Air Transport Association, or IATA, announced updates recently to its 2025 airline industry financial outlook. The results? Well, improved profitability over 2024 and resilience in the face of global economic and political shifts. We'll investigate these results as well as what the industry outlook is for the aviation industry for the remainder of the year with Subhas Menon, Director General at the Association of Asia Pacific Airlines. Subhas, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on. Now, the Asia Pacific Airlines June 2025 traffic results have also been released a few weeks ago. Some highlights you'd like to point out, similarities you can draw with IATA's results?
Yes, I think the resilience is definitely showing up with Asia Pacific results. On the passenger side, the growth was close to 13%, which is about 75% more than the global average in terms of rate of growth. So this is very promising. It shows that the resilience of demand is still carrying through to 2025. Of course, there is a bit of a moderation after the industry exceeded pre-COVID levels at the end of 2024. At the end of 2024, the rate of growth was double that of the global average, So it is moderating a little bit, understandably. I suppose it's returning to pre-COVID historical trends. On the cargo side, we see a bit more moderation because cargo is the weather vane of the economy. It sort of mirrors what's happening in the economy. So on the cargo side, the growth is just under 6% compared to what it was in 2024, which was close to 10%. Here cargo is showing the same signs as we see for the global cargo growth trends. And I think the industry in the region, is expecting, greater impact from the tariff onslaught of the U.S. administration. The tariffs, as you know, affect both the demand as well as supply side of the industry. On the demand side, you'll see that inflation will have a dampening effect on demand. On the supply side, supply costs are expected to go up. Fuel prices have actually come down in 2025, but non-fuel costs have actually gone up. So if you look at profitability, I think profitability will also moderate. The airline industry will continue to be profitable, but margins will be reduced as we go forward in 2025.
Yeah, a lot of things to touch on there. Let's go with the price of jet fuel, which is expected, according to IATA, to average $86 per barrel this year. That's fallen 13% compared to last year. Is the major positive driver. How much of a boon has that been for the industry?
Well, quite a bit, I would say. It's really the saving grace for the industry at the moment because other aspects of costs have actually gone up. Big ticket item wages have gone up because the industry was already facing a manpower constraint. Naturally, wages will go up. Operating costs, distribution costs, as well as ground handling, airport costs, these have also gone up, and navigation charges have also gone up. So fuel is a big chunk of the cost structure, close to a third overall cost. But, if you really look at it, 66% of the cost structure is actually going up. So unit costs will definitely go up. And yields, on the other hand, are coming down. As more and more capacity is added, yields are expected to come down. And yields are still higher than pre-COVID levels. But, when you look at the two together, you'll find that the margins are closer to under 3%.
Yeah, margin's pretty thin. So I think profits came in at about $36 billion for the first half of this year, but that equates to just $7.20 per passenger per segment. So very thin buffer, and any new tax or increase in airport charge, to your point, demand shock, costly regulation, may put the industry's resilience to the test. Let's look at the robust demand element. You mentioned passenger growth hitting 13%. APAC clearly leading the charge on that front. They're contributing over 50% of revenue passenger kilometers, or RPK, which is a measure of total demand for air travel. So no surprises there. But let's turn to the laggards. North America will be the slowest growing market. Is this a concern and perhaps a drag on the industry as a whole?
Well, no. I think what the industry has been doing is diversifying. The routes to and from the U.S. have, of course, suffered quite a bit. Inflation, has been stubbornly up for most of 2025. Let's see whether the Fed reduces the rate of interest. that would help. But on the other hand, the tariffs are going to also increase retailer costs. So inflation is expected to stay up there. But I think it's more perception, whether the U.S., is welcoming visitors to its shores, So that, I think, is affecting travel to the U.S. And from the U.S. also, I think, as far as tourism is concerned, I think Americans are finding better deals at home, So, so American Express motto is don't leave home without it. But I guess Americans are not leaving home at all.
That's absolutely right. Let's come back to the supply chain bottlenecks. So we're seeing slowing aircraft manufacturer deliveries, engine problems, spare parts shortages that have grounded planes. In fact, the aircraft backlog exceeding 17,000 with an implied wait time of 14 years, not helped by the impact of tariffs. Not sure if we've seen the full impacts of these on the sector yet. But are industry players reading the situation from the point of view that they're optimistic? Perhaps they might be dialed back or reduced. We've seen evidence of that from the Trump administration in the past, or are they quite concerned?
No, not really. I mean, the supply chain problems, have slowed the industry's ability to meet the resilient demand, So that's where it's really hurt. New deliveries have been delayed, as you pointed out. But on top of that, components and parts, have also been delayed. As a result, the shop visits, the length of the shop visits have extended by 3 times, on average. So this is causing a huge disruption problem, for the airlines. On top of that, conflict zones, have seen airspace closures. This has meant that, airline flights, through these zones have been disrupted, diverted, of course, but also in some cases, flights have been cancelled, flights have been delayed from taking off. So this is also increasing costs. On the other hand, it's also injecting a lot of unpredictability into the operating environment. But I can say that, industry has been coping with these by working together. This is an industry which has got a very intricate ecosystem, So failure in one part of the ecosystem affects the whole, So they have been working together to try and overcome these challenges.
Yeah, let's touch on what to look out for in the future for the remainder of this year and into Q1 2026. Any factors that may mitigate some of the headwinds that we're currently seeing?
Well, one thing good is that the U.S. administration has exempted aircraft and engines, from the import tariff. So that is good. The second aspect, I think, is the fact that while the U.S. routes are laggard, most of the Asia Pacific routes are very strong. The growth of the regional economies is still, double the rate of the growth of the average global economy. So that is good. The demography in Asia Pacific region, a younger population and strong investment climate would help, even though tariffs are a bit of a dampener. But Asia Pacific economies have shown resilience, over even the pandemic period, so we are hopeful. So these are, good aspects of how the economies are going to support the industry in the future.
All right. The airline industry is still flying high. Plenty of resilience in the face of economic and geopolitical uncertainty. We've been talking all about it with Subhas Menon, Director General at the Association of Asia Pacific Airlines. Subhas, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Stay with Money FM 89.3.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.